everyone, this video is for the Bill of Rights assignment, and this is just one of the first halves of the Bill of Rights assignment. And right next to this assignment was a little red piece of paper, and yours was red. If you've received that, what you're going to be doing is that after you do this assignment and all of your research, you are going to write 5 amendments that you would make up for your own country or you think maybe should be added to our country's amendments, okay? And remember, right now we're studying the Bill of Rights, and rights is freedoms that everyone deserves in this country, okay? But they don't call it the Bill of Freedoms, but that's really what it is. It is a document that states our freedoms. And the word amendments, which is what we're going to be talking about, the first 10 amendments, which make up the Bill of Rights that are within the Constitution of the United States. The word amendments means changes to a document, meaning we had these laws established, and here's what we're going to do to fix them and amend them. Okay, so if you came with a piece of paper and it needed correction, I am amending your paper. That's kind of what it means. But in this sense, it is the rights that we all deserve. And these rights protect our personal freedoms as U.S. citizens, okay? So in the U.S. Constitution, there are 7 articles, and when we think of that, we really just mean like sections, 7 sections, and we know from class there are 27 amendments, but the Bill of Rights are the first 10. And the first 10 are very important, not because they mean any more than others, but because the other ones kind of stem from the first 10. Okay? Without having the first 10, the other 17 don't really make much sense. Okay? And again, they are rights that we all deserve, freedoms and opportunities that every U.S. citizen has the right to have. Okay? And the U.S. Constitution is the highest level of law, meaning there's nothing that anyone can add to it or take away from it as it stands, okay? No court of law can say, nope, we're not going to follow it. They have to follow it. It is our Constitution and the rights that we've earned by living here, okay? So we're going to start reading, and then we'll kind of break it apart and discuss some things. Now, some of you it's a little bit different how yours might be worded, but most of you received this copy of it, okay? And it was just sent out in different reading levels because I know that some of you are a little bit older, some of you are a little bit more experienced with this topic, so some of you have a higher level of reading. If you don't have this particular one, it's okay. The information is the same. I just put it in your reading level, okay? So follow along just the same, and the questions are the same regardless, okay? So it says Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights is incredibly important. Oh, messed up already. Every person living in the United States has the protection of these rights. The Bill of Rights is another name for the first 10 amendments of the United States Constitution. The Bill of Rights guarantees a number of personal freedoms. That means that it is promised to us as U.S. citizens. They limit the government's power. Many were against signing the Constitution. They wanted to include the Bill of Rights first. James Madison introduced the first 10 amendments, which is a change to the Constitution, a change to the document. The first 10 amendments to the United States Constitution to the First Continental Congress. They were adopted by the House of Representatives in August of 1789. So even back then, there was a House of Representatives, and our country still runs that way. Our laws still have to be approved by a group of people that represent us as a nation instead of as individuals, okay? So they drafted it up. They had all of these amendments. They had all of these laws, really, and they said, we need more explanation, or we need to fix that so that we can guarantee the rights of our people, okay? Now we're in the second paragraph. The First Amendment gives citizens in the United States freedom of religion. It also gives them freedom of expression, meaning of speech, and it says it also gives citizens the right to free speech, meaning I am allowed to practice whatever religion I want. I can be a Christian, I can be a Buddhist, I could be a Muslim, I can be any religion. I ran out of religion. I can be Jewish if I wanted to, and the government has no right to tell me what to believe in or what not to believe in. It also gives citizens the right of free speech, meaning I am allowed out of my mouthpiece to say anything that I want to, as long as it is not a hateful comment towards someone else. Okay? It also allows people to meet peacefully in groups. This is the right to assembly, meaning I am allowed to go to church in large groups. I am allowed to gather with other people for a nonviolent protest or anything. I'm allowed to gather. The Second Amendment guarantees the right to bear arms by citizens. And when they say bear arms, they don't actually mean like I'm going to go cut off a bear's arm. What they mean is I have the right to purchase and carry guns on my physical body. And there's a lot of controversy, meaning some people agree with it and some people don't. But as the United States stands today, every U.S. citizen who is mentally capable of getting a gun and training themselves is allowed to bear arms in order to protect themselves or for hunting or just for enjoyment. It allows people to carry guns to hunt. It also allows people to defend themselves. The Third Amendment guarantees that no soldier can room in a person's home. They have to have their permission given first. And this one's a little bit tricky because it's not something that really pertains to us today, but if it were to happen, we're protected from it. So during the American Revolutionary War, that was a war that happened here in the United States on our land. Someone came and invaded us. Soldiers, U.S. soldiers, were allowed to go to anyone's house and say, I need to sleep in your home and you have to feed me and give me some of your resources. Whether that person agreed with the war or wanted to help them or not. It was almost a very forced action. And the United States government said that is not right unless they have that person's consent, meaning that person said, yes, I will do this. Consent's very important. You cannot enter my home. Okay, so it's protecting us that if we were to be at war with another country and they were to invade us, soldiers do not have the right to come into my home and use my resources, and I do not have to assist them in what they are doing unless I want to. Okay? And a lot of people during that time did want to. They wanted to help their soldiers because they believed in the cause, and some didn't. And they have the right to say no. Okay? Amendment 4 guarantees the freedom from searches. Searches have to make sense. Government agencies have to obtain a warrant, a document provided by a judge permitting search of property to search a person's possessions. That means that if you are stopped by the police, they have to have a document stating why they are searching you, or they have to have reasonable cause, meaning that you are doing something that is causing them to search your physical body or your home. And a warrant is usually they go to the court of law and they say, this is what I believe is happening. Can you give me a document that gives me permission to enter their home or to search their body? Okay, and once they have that warrant, they are allowed to do so. But without that warrant, they have to have a really good reason as to why they're going to be searching your personal body or your home or vehicle. The Fifth Amendment states that the same crime cannot be tried twice. A person can refuse to answer a question. They can refuse it if it will get them into trouble. And this one never made sense to me until I was an adult. So what that means, it's called a process of double jeopardy. That means if I've already been accused of a crime and the court had said I am not guilty, I cannot be tried for that same crime again unless I did it in real life the second time. But if they've already said this person is not guilty, they cannot call me back in and say, we're going to do this again. They have no right to do that. It also gives you the right that if you are accused of something, you go to court, you do not have to speak. You do not have to incriminate yourself, meaning accidentally say something that might get you in trouble. And some of you might have heard this phrase. It's called pleading the fifth. And that goes straight back to the Fifth Amendment. It means that I am not going to say a word so that I do not get myself into trouble. Okay? And sometimes we plead the fifth in real life, even not in the court of law. You'll hear people say it. They'll ask a question and they will say, oh, I plead the fifth. And we say it in a joking manner, but it's actually a serious legal term that you would say in a court of law if you do not wish to speak or to defend yourself or to incriminate yourself, meaning you might say something that they can get you in trouble for. Okay, now we're entering the third paragraph and the Sixth Amendment. And remember, if I'm going too fast with any of this information, please feel free to pause me and digest the information, okay? So the third paragraph. The Sixth Amendment states that if you commit a crime and are arrested, you have the right to have representation, which is a lawyer, okay? So that means that I have the right. One, I've been arrested, I'm in the court of law, I'm trying to defend myself. I have the right to hire someone or be appointed someone for free that will represent me in the court of law so I don't have to do it myself. Because as regular people, we do not know the law. So we, in this country, all have the right to have someone represent us. Some people choose to pay for a service, a lawyer, and some people get a representative given to them by the state, and the state has to guarantee that representative so that you get your best shot in court. Oh my gosh, what was that noise? The Seventh Amendment guarantees someone that if they have committed a crime, they can have a trial that has a jury, a group of people who hear the case. So that means that instead of just one person, this is only for civil cases, and we'll get into civil and different types of cases later on. But in a civil case, instead of just one person deciding guilty or not guilty or what the right outcome is, they have a jury of regular people like your parents, like myself, that get together in a special court of law under the eye of a judge, and we hear out the case. They hear out both sides, and then they decide whether someone has committed the crime or if they're free to go or whatever it is. So it's a group of people that decide. That way the power is not just in one person. So they have the right to a jury. Okay. The Eighth Amendment guarantees that someone will not get cruel and unusual punishment if they are convicted or proven guilty of a crime. That means that the punishment they receive should fit the crime. Okay. If Miss Laura were to speed, let's say in a 35 she was going 50. I never speed. But let's say that I was, and I got a ticket and I had to go to court for it and I tried to fight it. A good punishment is that I pay a fine for doing something wrong. An unusual and cruel punishment would be if the judge said, you're going to get 70 years for speeding. The crime and the punishment do not match. So in our country, it is set up in a system to where the crime and the punishment should match. And that is determined by the jury and the court of laws, okay? And the other amendments, of course. And the Ninth Amendment means that nothing written in the Constitution can be used to cancel amendments to it, meaning that we cannot go back as the states, because each state can have their own laws and change the laws as they see fit as a state, meaning states do not have the right to go and change the amendments, okay? We can change laws. Laws are constantly changing, being added to, but the Bill of Rights and the U.S. Constitution and the amendments cannot be changed. They are set in stone, okay? No one has the right to come in and say, yeah, but... Nope. Laws can be interpreted differently, and that's why we have courts of laws, but the Bill of Rights and the U.S. Constitution is as it stands, and no one has the right to cancel it out, okay? And the 10th Amendment means that anything the Constitution does not mention can be considered by states as part of their powers if they wish to do so. Meaning that if something comes up and they're not sure whether it is a right, the states then can step in and say, okay, we're going to make laws to either protect the people or take away certain things from them, okay? So this one gives power back to the states. And it's good that individual states are able to come up with their own laws, okay? Now, my wonderful class, I hope that kind of helped you a little bit. And if you guys have any questions, of course, message me. And a really good resource is YouTube. YouTube some videos. Type in Bill of Rights for Kids. You don't just have to hear my opinion. But now we're going to move forward to the questions. And for this half, I do need my laptop. So give me one little moment as I type in my password. Okay, so Bill of Rights. Your first question, and remember this is the best time to pause me so you can find your answers. It says, number 1, which amendment states that the same crime cannot be tried twice? A, first, B, fourth, C, fifth, or D, the 10th? Number 2, which amendment states no soldier can room in a house without permission? A, 1st, B, 3rd, C, 5th, or D, 10th? Number 3, which amendment gives freedom of religion? A, 1st, B, 4th, C, 5th, or D, 10th? Number 4, what was the author trying to do in writing this passage? Meaning, what was their purpose? A, to entertain the reader by telling of stories about James Madison? Was it B, to entertain the reader by making jokes about citizens' rights? C, to persuade readers that citizens do not need rights, and remember, persuade means convince? Or was it D, to inform the reader about the Bill of Rights? What was the author's purpose? Number 5, which amendment guarantees the right to bear arms to citizens? A, 2nd, B, 4th, C, 5th, or D, 10th? Question 6. Now, I want full sentences for this, and it will require about 1 to 2 sentences. Number 6. Who introduced the Bill of Rights? Where did he do this? Number 7. What does the Bill of Rights guarantee in the first paragraph? Go back in the first paragraph, highlight what you need to, and then put it in your own words. Number 8. What 3 things are given by the First Amendment? What freedoms are given in the First Amendment? Number 9. What is another word for representation? Number 10. What do the Bill of Rights limit? 11. Bill of Rights is another name for what? 12. Explain what the Fifth Amendment gives. 13. What is another way of saying the word convicted? On your next page, it says list the 10 amendments of the Bill of Rights in order. So you're going to go back right into the text. You're going to highlight them, and then you're just going to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and write what the amendment is. Okay, and I believe that's the end of that packet. So I was just making sure. So I hope this video was helpful to you guys. Please let me know in the comments if there's anything I need to add or give you further explanation. Okay, guys? Love you. Bye.